welcome. We are here for Ashley's Heart Song on the Win Win Women TV network. This is the place where we get out of the stress and back into our body, our life, and our business. When we tap into the song of our hearts, we master the mind and the stress that steals our life. This is the Three Brains approach to helping you become more vital in your body, soul, and spirit. So happy you have joined me today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going to be a very fun show, I believe, because it really does tap into some areas that we all experience when it comes to launching ourselves. This is all about don't freeze up, spring is coming. And what I mean by that is there are challenges and they can feel pretty chilly sometimes. So it doesn't matter if it's in your personal arena, professional arena, service arena, relationship arena, financial arena, doesn't matter what area of life that you are focusing on or which one you live inside of most of the time. What we're speaking to is those challenges that can get pretty nippy when it's new, when there's an obstacle, and we have this idea of launching into something new. We can be curtailed by those challenges that can come up. And so we tend to freeze in mid-stride. We stop acting, we stop doing anything. It's like a deer in headlights, and we just stay there and we don't do anything about it. And so today's show is going to be all about that and about how we can walk through these times of launches and really perform them with beauty and grace and ease without storing things in our physical body. So on this show, I love to go into the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body, because we are all four of those things. We're a three-part being: body, soul, spirit. The soul is the mind, the heart, and the emotional center of you. It's that earthly aspect of you that is created and ever evolving while you're here on planet Earth. And today's topic is going to feed directly into that, and also how the experiences we have inside of our soul, affect our physical body. So before we do our vitality score, I would like to share something with you that will help you to kind of, it'll start that little percolating in your mind on this topic. Every challenge is a seed of opportunity, waiting to blossom into triumph. Remember, the most vibrant flowers are often bloom after the harshest winters. Embrace your struggles, for they are the roots of your resilience and the wings of your process. Let's turn those obstacles into stepping stones and rise with the warmth of our inner strength. Yes, right? Doesn't that just make you want to go, I can do this. I can see these challenges, and they are stepping stones, because when I treat challenges as stepping stones, I have found that it makes it so much easier to walk through them, because I've taken them from that lens of, oh my gosh, into the lens of, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? Right? We've just like toned it down some. And when we do that, it becomes a stepping stone that leads to you living your desired life. So let's get in and check in with our vitality score before we get into much more goodness around this topic. So we want to identify what our vitality score is each and every week, and really look at what area we need to focus on inside of any given week, because it's always going to change. So physical body on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10, where do you rate physically today? Do you feel physically strong and just capable, right? That's a 10, or 5 to a 10, somewhere in there. But if you're feeling a little weak, just lethargic, don't have the gumption you want to do a workout, then you could be around a 1 to a 5. Put down your score. Emotional body, where are you Okay, so to get from a 5 to a 10, it's going to be you feel emotionally balanced. You're not crying at the drop of a hat. You're not swearing at the drop of a hat. You're not making up words at the drop of a hat or calling people names, right? That is 1 to 5. But if we are just really feeling good, it's 5 to a 10. So rate yourself on that, please. Then the mental body. Are you mentally sharp today? That's a 5 to a 10. Are you mentally dull today? That's a 1 to a 5. Where you just don't feel like you've got your thoughts together. And sometimes that happens when we have a lot whirling around in our mind, and we haven't taken capture of our thoughts. Then we can feel that fatigue from the mind, and that's a 1 to a 5. Spiritual body. Spiritually, are you aligned and connected today? Did you pause this morning and just connect? Connect inside gratitude, thankfulness, stillness. Mm. Did you lean into that relationship? Or did you wake up with busy and chaos all inside your body and you just took off in your day and you forgot to totally check in and get into alignment first? That right there is a 1 to a 5. If you did take a pause and you are connected today and gratitude, stillness, aligned, then that is a 5 to a 10. All right, write down your score, tally it up. The highest you can have is a 40. And this just gives you an idea of where you are with you, because we tend to us first, right? The oxygen mask goes on us first, so we can then bring oxygen and love and vitality to others. If we don't put the oxygen mask on first, then we become empty and we don't have anything to share. And we end up cranky, moody, fatigued, that kind of thing. And we don't want that. All right. So just check in with your score. There is no judgment here. It's about awareness. It is truly about you just tuning in and seeing where you're at and what you can do to change it. When we step outside of being inside of it, so if we stay inside of that score, and what that looks like would be, oh my gosh, I must really be stressed because my physical body, emotional body, mental body, spiritual body, they all tanked. They were all below a 5. What am I going to do? Then you start going down that pathway, that rabbit hole of toxic thoughts, toxic emotions, and it just snowballs into more toxicity. And then the next week, your score is even lower. That's being inside of it. What we want to do is rise outside of it and be the observer of that score. And the observer looks at the score and says, all right, so I know mentally my thoughts have been racing. What can I do this week to slow my thoughts down? That is rising up out of it and looking at it from that Hawkeye view so you can see what area needs tending and tend to it with confidence, ease, and grace. So let's get on with this wonderful topic around don't freeze. Spring is coming, and with it comes fresh starts. All right. So overcoming the winter freeze, I'm going to share with y'all a story of mine around a winter freeze that really did. It's like the prime example of what can happen when you are in a freeze position, what can happen mentally, physically, and emotionally to you, and spiritually for that matter. The winter freeze is simply, and I want you to remember this, that a winter freeze is simply a separation from who you are and who you are meant to be. It's being just disconnected. And what happened to me, this was 20 something years ago. It was after the years of anxiety, but I was still in that starvation mode, so to speak. My body had not fully healed from the anxiety. So many of you know my story around anxiety. And what happened to me during that time was my body cannibalized. I had had so much muscle mass from powerlifting and teaching aerobics and doing all that stuff. I had so much muscle mass. And when I went through those years of anxiety, my body cannibalized it, ate up the lean tissue for energy. And I dropped like 25 pounds of lean tissue. And I was a skeleton, right? Just bones and fatty tissue, and it was yucky. Inside clothes, people go, "Oh my gosh, you look great. You've lost so much weight." And it's like, "Oh, I feel terrible." I did. I felt terrible. I mean, sure, I may have looked thin, but I didn't feel good. And so that happened. And when you cannibalize, when you lose that muscle tissue, guess what else you lose? Strength. You also lose mobility and flexibility. Why? Because in that place of fear, my body became stiff. My body, I had been a gymnast, y'all. So I was super flexible. But when you're in stress, all those emotions are stored in your tissues and it creates stiffness and immobility. Well, I had um, chosen, I guess, to help my mom. Me and my mom are like this. And when I was in my younger years with my little boys, we together would put on the Memorial Day get together for all of the family. And I have 5 siblings and they're all married and they all have kids. Well, at this time, two of them didn't have kids. Oh, excuse me, two of them didn't have kids. And so I went and did the grocery shopping for, there was probably 25 people in the family at that time, somewhere between 20 and 25. And I told mom, I'll do the grocery shopping. Oh my gosh, I did not know what I was getting into. So I am highly stressed. I'm a young mom. I had just been rescued from anxiety, but my body had not healed completely yet. And I was holding on to stress. Y'all know how it is when you're a young mom. It's just like stiff with stress. And I went and did that grocery shopping, and that cart was so huge. So this is a 3-day weekend for that many people. I bought all the groceries for everyone. Are you getting the picture? You moms who are grocery shopping, you know what that can look like for that many people for a weekend. So I am pushing this cart and I'm realizing that my upper back is just really starting to hurt. And I had never had upper back stuff. Well, y'all, to make a very long story short, by the end of that weekend, I was flat on my back with the most horrific muscle spasm I had ever experienced in my life. It was the kind of muscle spasm that reaches through from your back, and it was happening around the thoracic spine, that your diaphragm has this little ligament that goes around your spine, right? And so that was trapped inside the vertebra, so to speak, and made my diaphragm completely spasm to where I couldn't breathe unless my husband held my ribs up. Then I could breathe. It was the most bizarrest and scariest thing I'd ever experienced. But it was in that moment that when I reflect back that I'm seeing, oh my gosh, I was frozen in fear and stress and unworthiness and please let me be approved and all of that mess. So there was that launch that I wanted to help my mom with, the launching of the family memorial weekend. And here I am on the last day, flat on my back because I am in so much pain. When we don't resolve, when we don't clean things out, put things in order, that is what can happen. It goes from mental stress into emotional stress into physical stress, and that's where you collapse. I don't want you to get there. I don't want you to get where I got. So today, I'd like to share with you just a few things to watch for. So we want to first understand what's happening. And when we understand and we can see, we have those eyes to see and notice when we're not handling something properly, when we're not putting it in order, that's when we can do something about it. Remember on the vitality score, I said, don't take it personal, don't judge, you got to rise above it. Same thing on this. We rise above it so we can see the big picture and see what is happening. So common fears that we have, I just shared with you some that I had. I felt unworthy. I wanted to be approved of. I was seeking approval. Perfection is another one that I was seeking. Some of you may have that fear of failure, right? The worrying, about not meeting expectations or disappointing others. That may have been kind of one of mine. And also that things won't be well received. Do you ever feel that? That's that fear of failure. We can also, as women, we can feel that overwhelmed. And I was certainly in that place of overwhelm. Shopping by myself for that many people, I had two grocery carts, they were full to capacity. Oh my goodness. That feeling of swamped and just like that shroud comes over you and it's bending you forward under the weight of so much. That creates that anxiety and the stress and tension all through the physical body. That creates the dis-ease. Another area where this fear could come in when you're about to launch or you are going to do something big like I did with that Memorial Day weekend. But maybe you have something in your business that you're wanting to get out and you're wanting to do videos on it and you're going to hold this really cool event to represent the whole thing. And that could be imposter syndrome. That is huge in coaches. I see it in coaches. I see it in people who are trying to build teams in their businesses. That imposter syndrome where they feel like, oh my goodness, I am going to have to fake being the leader. I'm going to have to fake being the expert on this. No, 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 no. No, you don't have to fear that because where you are at any given time with the knowledge that you have, you are the expert to deliver that. Because the same mind, as my coach tells me, the same mind that thought it up is the same one that can bring it about. So you don't have to fear imposter syndrome. If you thought it up, you can definitely bring it about. What about the unknown? The unknown is another big fear that we can have when we're about to launch something big or when we're about to design something really cool, like that Memorial Day weekend for the family. Whatever it is, the fear of the unknown, the outcome. Right now, I'm planning an event for Win-Win Women, and there is that unknown of so many unknowns, right? And so we have to bring in the trust and the faith that it is all going to unfold for our highest good. When we can come at and approach fear of the unknown with the belief and the faith that it is all going to unfold for our highest good, that totally releases that fear of the unknown completely. Stay in tune that everything unfolds for your highest good. And it has a beautiful, beautiful way of doing that. I already shared perfectionism with you, but that was one on the list that I wanted to share. And let me kind of just go into it a little bit. It's the belief that everything must be perfect before you can proceed and take action. No, 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 no. We take action inside the imperfection, and then it becomes perfection, right? And so don't get lost inside of seeking perfection. Get lost inside of the imperfection and taking action inside of that, and it will turn out beautifully and perfect all in its way. When we seek perfection, we will tend to procrastinate, and that's what we don't want. So you take action inside that imperfection. Sometimes there could be financial concerns that are in play, worrying about the potential loss that you could have. You know, when you're putting on a big event or doing a big launch in your business, there are expenses. And so there it can be that fear of financial concern. But inside of that, we got to do two things. One is we got to let that go and know that we're going to be fully resourced and fully equipped. That doesn't mean you go out and you spend $3,000 on putting this together. No, that's not what it means. It means that you trust in that, but then you show up with the budget that is not woo, over the top, right? You show up with a budget that is very doable and you tend and you stay inside that budget. The next one is the criticism and judgment. Have any of you ever feared being criticized or judged? If you're in the live audience with me, please feel free to put a thumbs up on that one. Fear of not achieving financial goals or stability. Oh, excuse me, I was at the wrong one. Fear of being judged or criticized by peers, customers, or the public. Yes, that can happen, especially with all the social media presence today. Um, yeah. So my encouragement on that is to not take it personal. If you see a criticism on your social media post, just don't even take it to heart, right? Because everyone comes from their me spot. Everyone is coming from their world, their place inside of their world. That's their me spot. And when we come from our me spot, our comments, our judgments will come from that place. It doesn't come from the place up here. Um, Seeing things from that bigger scope and that bigger viewpoint of the big picture. And so just know that, and you just don't take anything personal. Is it difficult? Well, of course, we're human beings and we take things to heart, but work on building that muscle of not taking it personal. Yeah. And another thing on that is always look for the good. Know and believe that only good things are going to come your way. Train the reticular activating system inside your brain, train that reticular activating system to be the homing beacon for only what is good, only what is positive, only what is right and just. That's all, right? So that's how we train our brain is we just only look for the good. The glass is half full. Positivity, all what's possible. When you train your brain in that way, then when you see those come up on social media, if they ever do, then you can just go, ah, you won't even see it, or you won't interpret it in the way that another person might, because you see it from a different perspective. It's really beautiful how our brain can be trained to look for the bad and to feel bad and take everything personal, or our brain can be trained to only look for the good and to not take things personal. So, how do you want to train your brain? It's beautiful. So, remember, fears are natural. You are a human being. Your brain is designed with the fight or flight system in order to keep your physical body alive. And so, it will interpret things as threats. We want to know that, recognize it, but not spend a lot of time on it. We want to just go, oh yeah, okay, my brain is set up that way, but that doesn't mean that's the only way that I can think. That's not my only option, because we have the reticular activating system inside the brain that can be that homing beacon for all that's possible, all that's good, all that's just, all that's yummy, right? So we have two choices in this. We do. But you take action despite them. Always take action despite them. Inside of that, when you're in that place of the challenge, the obstacle, the fear, when you see it, your body, your mind will interpret it as a threat. You'll feel that stress response. That stress response, remember, can lead to your body becoming fatigued. It shuts down your digestive system, so you can have and create more inflammation, especially if you eat at that time. You have die off of healthy gut bacteria, which lowers your immune system. Your body will secrete out vital nutrients, which weakens your bones. Y'all, so much stuff happens during that time. And so we want to recognize that when we're in that stress response, and that's when you can quickly shift over into a rest and digest mode, the relaxation mode outside of the stress response. That is when we just calmly just go, okay, what can I do right now in this moment to get out of that? And so something I wanted to share with you today was a very simple Qigong thing to do, Qigong stance to do. It's called Wu Ji, and it's stillness inside of Wu Ji. So I'm going to back up here just a little bit so you can see my hands. I'm going to stand with my feet together. My hands are out to the side. Palms are facing forward. Shoulders are back. You want the sky hook where the crown of the head is up towards the heavens. And you stand in this place If you need to, if you notice yourself wobbling, then separate your feet just a little bit so that you don't wobble too much and lose the balance. Draw the navel in, sky hook on the top of the head, shoulders are back. Breathing in through the nose, exhale through the mouth loudly. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Now we just breathe in through the nose. And in this place, you can close your eyes if you feel perfectly balanced. If you do not, then keep your eyes open, but focused on one thing, not looking around necessarily, but just focusing on one thing. Straight out in front of you. You want to continue with the belly pump, meaning as you breathe in, the diaphragm is extending and then compressing, extending and compressing. And you want that belly pump going with your breath. All right, so you're feeling the breath, you're smelling whatever it is that's coming in. That's 2 senses. Now, what are you looking at? Bring that into your awareness. Once you bring that into your awareness, what are you hearing? Bring that into your awareness. And then notice if you taste anything in your mouth. You're bringing all the senses into play right now, into this stillness moment. And you stand here in stillness as you allow your senses to be elevated and to be alert, not alert, but just aware. When we are in this space, our mind, our thought patterns disappear and we are simply present. Do that for several minutes, 2, 3, 5 minutes, as long as you can, and allow yourself to be fully present with your senses on full awareness. This will center you. It will ground you. I love doing this best when I am outside. Oh, and in the springtime, when you're hearing the world come to life with the birds and the insects and the wind and the leaves blowing and the scent of the flowers in the air. Oh my word, this is just the best. So when you feel yourself being carried away by what is before you, that launch that's before you, then I highly recommend that you spend time in stillness, in the Wu-Ji stillness. It's just beautiful. And it is a great place that you can also, once you spend 5 minutes inside of that, then you can go down and write out your vision. These are 3 things that I'm giving you that you can do that will help you step into this launch with ease and grace. And remember, this launch can have to do with your business, with your personal life. Doesn't matter, either one. Write down the vision of what you're wanting to launch, not the step-by-step process of it, the big picture. How do you want it to look at the end? When you have finished that launch, what do you want to do? Yeah! You want to do that? And what else? What are you celebrating in it? What do you see is happening? How do people feel? What is the end result? Just write it all down and get all happy with it. Get all joyful with it. It is so much fun to write that down and then read that every day after your Wu-Ji stillness. So bring it in, hone in the thoughts, and center yourself on all of your senses and what they're picking up for 3 to 5 minutes, and then go into writing or reading out what you wrote as your vision of the end result of that. Now, in all of this, inside of those 2 things, we are aligning the 3 brains. So by getting into Wu-Ji stillness, we're stilling the mind, getting it centered, getting it out of the fight or flight, and it's now in rest and digest, the relaxation mode. By writing your vision, we're tapping into your heart, the song of your heart for that vision, for the launch, for what you're wanting to do. We just tapped into that and it just feels so, so, so good, right? So our head brain and our heart brain are aligned. And now we are in the perfect state of rest and digest mode for the gut brain. The gut brain is not stressed. The gut brain's at ease. The gut brain can be in the perfect place of full digestion and assimilation. But more than that, y'all, more than that, your body is now mobilizing fat for energy because the gut brain is not stressed. Your three brains are in alignment, and you can now mobilize fat for energy and elevate the health and vitality of your body. You'll notice that you have more energy during the day. You will notice that you have clarity of thought. You will notice that you feel good and your moods are balanced. And all that you love is going to come your way. That belief, that faith, it is coming your way. Right now, it is here and now, right? So it's so much fun to spring into action by taking action on those fears. Take action on those fears. Get into that Wuji stillness. Yes. Then write it down, your vision and what you would love. Get yourself centered. Get yourself centered. Don't let yourself freeze up. Do not, do not. So notice when you've fallen into inaction, reconnect to your desire and take action immediately. Immediately. Do not delay. Just take action. You've got this. Thank you so much for joining me today for Ashley's Heart Song. Join me again next week as we continue to armor up our lives. See you then.